guys, welcome back to another week of Mortgage Matters in Minutes. I'm your host, Brent Rasmussen, and this week is our 124th Mortgage Matter in Minutes, which drives me not crazy, but surprises me a little. But, time flies when we're giving out information. So this week probably should have been covered many times and many weeks back, but it's going to talk about 3 simple things not to do during the mortgage process. We can give you a list of 100 things, and sometimes real estate agents or realtors or buyers are trying to remember every single thing. So in this video, we want to try to keep it very simple. The major things that cause disruptions or delays or problems during the mortgage process. And the process that we're talking about is once you become under contract, and some people use the word in escrow or pending or under contract. It's between signed contract and closing when the mortgage real process and the real paperwork begins to happen. So there are many mortgage rules and laws that exist. We don't like all of them. We don't love them. We don't want all of them, but we have to abide by them to grant you a loan. We've talked many times throughout this process that many people would assume whenever you contact a mortgage company or lender or bank or credit union that we make up our own rules and we kind of can just do what we think makes sense. But unfortunately, that's been taken away by the government, and there's specific things that we have to do. And there are certain loans out there that, yes, anything can be possible to a certain extent, but you still have to have credit, assets, and income to make that particular situation happen. So let's get into it with just 3 basic steps so we can understand as a borrower what is the best way to help the lender and or yourself make it as seamless and stress-free as possible. That's what we try to strive for here at Mortgage Specialists. We've created a process, we've created touches and steps along the way to make it as least amount of work for the borrower and buyer as possible, but still getting things done at the end of the day. So the first one is don't be dishonest with your mortgage loan officer. I mean, a stronger word is don't lie. But also what I say is communicate with that particular individual. You're going through a big life process, and there's going to be lots of communications or questions that are happening throughout the process. What do you want to do here? What do you want to do there? Here's some paperwork that we need. Here's the next steps. Here's where we're going. We can communicate with the borrower and we can ask questions, but if we don't get responses and answers back, there's not a lot we can do to move forward. And we get to be very good mind readers and understanding what types of people want certain communication and how much communication they want without being overbearing. But again, the loan officer's on your side. We want to help close the loan because we receive compensation and we receive help from you, or we help you get what you want. And if we keep you happy, we're hoping that you might tell other people about us. And that's how we continue to build referrals and a strong business in the community. We feel we've done that at Mortgage Specialists. Not every single client can agree because they may have a situation that doesn't match exactly personalities or process, but we're here always to help educate and communicate with everyone involved in the process. One thing I want to stress in regards to communication is that because of the many laws that we talked about, everything gets verified 2 or 3 times. No one is going to take someone's word for anything anymore, unfortunately. That's the modern society that we live in because people have lied in the past, gotten caught, not paid their mortgage, lost their house in foreclosure. All those scenarios have happened. So they create rules anytime those bad things happen. So when we communicate asking for things, it's because we need clarification. I've heard of all kinds of crazy stories where people have said they've sent in information and paperwork and they've asked for the same bit of paperwork 2 or 3 weeks later. I would run from those people. That's not how the normal industry is. Those aren't professionals. If you send us documentation, I can assure you in the last 25 years, we might have lost 2 or 3 pieces of information over the last 25 years. We're not looking to make you do more work in excess of what you've already done to get the mortgage loan approved. So communicate with us. Don't lie to us. Don't be dishonest is number 1. Number 2, which is probably the biggest thing not to do during the process, is change your financial situation. And there's different things that you can do. And we're not going to talk about every example of the possibility, but here this past week, we've had clients that have done nearly all of these things that causes issues very late in the process. One is assets, not having enough, not verifying it, moving asset money around, receiving money from different people. Do we as lenders all care about that? No, not necessarily, but federal laws do. The Patriot Act is put in place since 9/11 to track money laundering and money moving around to make sure that it's coming from a valid source. And I get it, it's very intrusive. People don't like it, but I can share with you that unfortunately, that is just part of the world that we live in, the laws and the rules that exist. So if you have questions about where the money should come from, how to make it happen, we can tell you the easiest ways to make that happen without it being wrong. Or sometimes people like to think their own process, outthink it, and do something that many times doesn't match what really needs to be done. So don't move money around. Ask questions about if you're receiving money or if you're moving money from account to account. Ask your lender how to best do that and what's going on. Number two, in changing your financial situation is changing jobs. It is okay to change jobs depending on what's going on. Okay. If it's salary to salary, we're fine with it. But if you're going from salary to being a business owner, that's a problem. But also changing a jobs a day or two or a week before closing can be very daunting because underwriting has to verify that you're receiving income. And if your HR department doesn't want to respond to us quickly, and then we have to get that back to underwriting for closing, that can be a big challenge. And that could mean you're not closing on time. And that could mean your loan is also denied if you don't have actual information. I know a lot of people say, well, hey, I'm going to be getting this much income in the future. Well, underwriting rules are only based on what you're currently receiving, not future. They're going to care about what's happening right now. So if you have any idea of changing jobs, which I can tell you happens a lot during the process because people receive more income, so they're going to spend it more on their next home. Last is credit, changing your financial credit situation by taking out more debt, trading in a vehicle, opening new credit. Those things can also be detrimental towards the mortgage rules. If you are thinking about doing those things, communicate that with the lender. So obviously the second thing not to do in the process, change any of your financial situation. But I don't want people to sit on their hands and not make their normal financial goals and lifestyle. Just ask your particular loan officer, what should I do about this? What should I do about that? And know that any change you have could affect the loan. The last thing, and when I teach courses here locally, I explain this to nearly all of my students. Most of the time, the reason why we're late in the process or late for closing, if there is a delay in closing, is because of lack of documentation. So if for whatever reason you are needing to provide paperwork, get it to your loan officer as quick as possible, because the sooner we can get that to underwriting and signed off and taken care of, the less last minute things we got to do. Many of the time people think, well, my closing isn't for 2-3 weeks, a month from now. But honestly, your loan needs to be done a week or 2 weeks before closing to make all the compliance happen. So if you can provide the paperwork that's been asked of you, the sooner the better, your closing and your stress will be much less in regards to the entire process. Hope you learned 3 simple things not to do during the process is being honest, communicate. Number 2, don't change your financial situation. And 3, providing documentation. You don't want the lender to be hounding and threatening and harassing at the end for simple paperwork. Again, I'm Brent Rasmussen, owner of Mortgage Specialist. I'm here to answer any of your questions at 402-991-5153. Or you can check us out on our website at mtg-specialist.com. And we look forward to seeing you here each and every week. Feel free to hit subscribe and comment below, and we'll be here to help answer questions each and every week. Have a great one. Mortgage Specialists. Driven, trusted, reliable.